The PlayStation is home to many unusual but yet very unique style of games, and many of them people may not even know that they even exist. And one such game goes by the name of Future Racer, that was released for the PlayStation in 2001 and was published by Midas Interactive. This game originally was developed a few years prior in Japan and was released in 1997 originally under the name of Defeat Lightning. So essentially it's the same game, just rebranded for different regions. So the idea behind this game is the fact that you can play as a selection of robot style characters, but your goal is to race around different types of tracks. It almost has a unique Wipeout style vibe to it, as it takes many elements from iconic futuristic racers that would have been seen on the system during that time, where you have different types of challenges and hurdles to overcome on each of the tracks, with loads of bends and twists and turns that can really alter the pacing of the race and can definitely alter your play style, and can also present a challenge to determine how well you do in a race or not against computer opponents. You do have additional abilities with loads of speed boosts and different types of elements that you can interact with that actually give you different types of abilities to gain an advantage over your opponents. So generally you would start off with just kind of like hovering along the track, like as if you were just more like a hovercraft style of vehicle, but then you can interact with the different elements and they give you somewhat of a unique speed boost, or you can press one of the buttons on the controller with the likes of square and that, and you get like a short burst of speed and you can use it to try and get ahead of your opponents. But one of the unique advantages that you also have in this game as well, aside from racing against other opponents and using speed boosts, you can interact with combat. So you can fight with other racers on the track, so you can punch and even like kick them, or use like a weapon to kind of swing arms at them. It would almost put you in mind of Road Rash when you look back at the earlier games on the PS1 and even like the 16-bit consoles. One of the unique aspects of Road Rash back in the day was its ability to be able to mix racing with combat elements, so you could punch and kick and even steal weapons off other opponents while you're racing on the track and use them in order to defeat opponents a lot quicker and do more damage. But also at the same time you can take damage from other opponents, so you have to be very vigilant in how you approach each situation or altercation with opponents, because while you may be ahead, there's a lot of elements in this game that doesn't give you much of an advantage, because not only can you speed ahead with various speed boosts or time speed boosts, but your opponents can utilize the same elements and mechanics, so they can also catch up with you as well. So you have to combine your skill with a good solid run, utilizing the various speed boosts and abilities at various times, while also making sure to knock enemies back if you feel that they're going to be getting ahead of you. There is a lot of strategy involved in each race, in fairness to it, but the game does give you a helping hand, because there's a multitude of different modes. So you do have access to a training mode, so you can get used to the various specifics and mechanics starting out, but then you also have the different race modes and even a story mode. So the game does have a general story in favour of the races, so you compete in various competitions or campaigns, and obviously the story will play out then through the progression of the game itself, where you can unlock different abilities and just generally just to upgrade your robot as you race. So it has a lot of elements of many racing games, like when you look at Wipeout and other futuristic racers that would have been seen on the system, but then it also mixes the combat elements seen in Road Rash. So there's a unique mix of different styles in this game, which in some ways is really cool, because there's not many games like that at the time that would have been able to utilize all of those dynamics. And while this is more of a budget styled racer, it has a lot of really cool features in it that again you wouldn't see in other games, so it definitely makes it stand out. So even just to give you another glimpse of what the game even looks like, on various websites online you can gain access to certain elements, because the thing is there's very little information with regards to a lot of these games, and from information I have been able to find online, now I had to use the other name like Defeat Lightning, there seems to be more information information around that than there is around Future Racer. So when you go onto like websites like Google, or when you're trying to find out different types of background elements or even history of the games, many times on sites even like Wikipedia, there's very little information that can be found. So as you can see here on screen, I just managed to find a manual for the Japanese version of the game that goes through all the specifics. Now mind you, it doesn't have English text or dialogue, but you can kind of get an idea of what is represented in the game from the options alone. So it's pretty cool to see that fans and people are capturing elements of this nostalgia within games, and it's cool to see that people are going out of their way to maintain the history of them as well, so that people can find various aspects of the game's history and background online. Now, not every game is like that. There's many other games out there that do miss the mark when it comes to those elements, but it is a unique feature. Now, even at its core, the game itself, while it has many unique elements, in many cases it would probably be considered quite basic in terms of its visuals and various features compared to more iconic games that would have been released on the system. But what it lacks in visuals, it definitely makes up for in its other unique little quirks and nuances. And from what I have been able to find online, while there is very little known about the game, there is people that have played it and they have enjoyed it for what the game offers. So for all intents and purposes, if you like futuristic racers, this is definitely another one, in my opinion, to really have a look at. It is fun, it's challenging, but it will definitely take a while to get used to. But once you master the specifics of the game, there is a good experience to be had with it for sure. But I would definitely add it to your list of games to play, especially if you're not really sure or if you've never heard of the game before. I would add it to your list of plays, or to try out at least, to see what you think for yourself. It definitely has so many unique elements and quirky kind of nuances that definitely make it stand out for sure. But I would love to know your thoughts of Future Racer, or Defeat Lightning as it was called in Japan, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are of the game, if you have played it yourself, and if so, what do you think of it overall. So be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you would like to see more content around other types of unique futuristic racers that were similar to this, and even other games even like Wipeout and other types of unique and quirky style racers that were also released on the system, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.